From Maine to Mauna Loa, all across this great big land, there's a name.
The reason I got involved with the American Red Cross originally was kind of by chance. I was a senior in college at Xavier, and I had a professor that offered her students an opportunity for an exposure to a social service agency in Cincinnati. And I had a light load, and I thought this would be kind of a nice thing to kind of just do, keep myself occupied, keep me off the streets a little bit. And she arranged for me to volunteer with the Red Cross locally in what was then called the Service to Military Families Department, 2 afternoons a week.
Because I love to help people, and it's a niche that I found that it puts all my passions together, it's a world that I never knew existed, and a world that I never knew I always wanted to be a part of. I've always known what I wanted to do with my life, but I never knew where that fit in professionally, or in hobbies or stuff like that. So when I first started, I didn't know what to expect. But after going out to my first couple fires and disaster action runs, I felt right at home, and I just jumped right into it and took all the opportunities that were given to me. So
it's probably a story that a lot of people tell, and that is after Katrina, people wondering how they could help. Shortly after Katrina, I went down to New Orleans twice with groups to observe and to help rebuild, especially in the 8th Ward. And while that's satisfactory, there's no focus for that to be going down as an individual or even with a different group. So when I came back, I thought about the Red Cross. My initial work with the Red Cross was with the local disaster team. We respond to fires. They always seem to be at 2 o'clock in the morning. And we go out and we make sure that the clients who have been burned out of a house have some clothing, motel or housing for a couple of nights, and money so that they can buy food and clothing for themselves and their kids, so their kids can go back to school if that's necessary. Once that happened, I became more interested in deploying to other disasters, and you have to go through the training to be a emergency response vehicle driver. So I went through that training and placed myself on the list of people that could go out and do this. My first deployment was to Thibodaux, Louisiana, for 3 weeks with Hurricane Gustav. And down there, as usual, we fed people and delivered food to various shelters. And then my second deployment has been to Sandy.
I got involved with the Red Cross while I was watching television coverage of Hurricane Katrina, and I just felt like I needed to find a way to help, so I called our local Dayton chapter and volunteered, and they trained a lot of people very quickly. And part of my training was in the ERV, which is the emergency response vehicle. It's the white truck that kind of looks like an ambulance. And you have to take a special training to drive that truck, and I was sent to Baton Rouge to be an ERV driver.
When I got the call, they weren't even sure whether they were going to get us out right away, because at that point, all the airports into the New York, New Jersey area were shut down.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe 13 states were affected. Millions of people, millions of power outages, and I believe I know that the total damage in New York was about $41 billion, and in New Jersey, I think $36 billion.
We were placed in the center of New Jersey because they thought that would be the best place to pre-deploy the volunteers and keep them safe until the hurricane went through.
I think nobody understands, except the Red Cross maybe, what a difficult situation responding to an emergency can be. You have thousands of people called and being organized and working together on a moment's notice. It's almost impossible for things to work smoothly because of everybody just getting there and just doing their job. And amazingly, out of all that chaos, it happens.